This podcast contains adult language, descriptions of violence, sexual references, and other possibly offensive themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to this episode of Back to the Story, where friends come together to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll be your DM, Klaus. Let's get started.
When you see God's Rust surrounded by armies,
I'm sorry I couldn't buy us more time.
then know that its dissolution has come near.
I mean, I have great faith in the gods. I think that no matter what happens, they're going to triumph over this.
Then let those who are upon the pinnacle flee to the mountains.
And it's not really our place to judge, but to serve.
And let those who are inside the city depart.
I think if you gave me a few days, I could learn enough deep speech to try.
And let not those who are out in the forest enter it.
I'm an archaeologist. Disrespecting the dead is kind of what I do.
For these are the days of vengeance,
I just want to know what the fuck I am.
to fulfill all that is written.
Do not heed the visions of false prophets. Do not become what they want you to become.
Alright, Scales. It's up to you now. You've got this.
God, how do I even start this? I forget what I do. Do I say, hey, we're going now, or do I just jump into it?
Kind of just jump into the Remembrance.
That's what I thought I did.
You usually go like episode whatever the last
goals.
episode was. Oh, goals.
Let's do goals.
Thanks, Nance. Someone knows what's going on.
Colorless rain falls from the sky, vibrating and humming. We see a forest of Jerry stone, of graves, as the rain soaks into the north. Lights of green eyes awaken in skeletal arms breaking the ground, soaking up the energy from the rain. The ground vibrates with the thrum of 8 dark horses with riders hooded. They strike with long ebon katanas through the foul creatures, breaking bones and releasing spirits. Remembrance of souls we lost. Previously, after the bronze scales completed the trial of ashen embers, Ball destroying the heart of an ancient titan, they sought rest. Wounded and exhausted, they deliberated and argued over what to do next. Eventually, the scales decided to pursue Vesper's mother and Smo, postponing focus on the divine gate. Ellery flew upon the staff ahead to find the merchant caravan, following them back to a hideout on the coast of the ignis sea, an ocean of flaming oil. While waiting for his ship to travel across the sea, Felix took a deep dive into the memories of Aeon in order to learn more of Mr. Walker. He searched and found a memory of the Harbinger upon a farm with a family, working at a desk. Looking through the memory, Felix pushed past an arcane encryption, inceptioning into the mind of the memory of Mr. Walker. Here he interviewed Mr. Walker and learned much of the Harbingers and the Divine Gate, but something watched. After Vesper helped Felix recover from the fall out of his dive, the scales discussed these new revelations as they took a ship across the burning sea, and as the city of smoke came into vision, so too did Shadow and a forest of pale leaves. The Sphinx with an iron mask spoke, "The time is nigh. Speak my name, Dietos." We come back to the story here. As the vision of Dietos disperses, a crackling and colorless gash tears across the sky, releasing an energy that flows out and over you in a pulse of death. It sweeps across you, this pulse, slamming into you all, and you feel a sudden cold chill run up your spine. As it slams into Vesper, she's knocked into the air, off her feet, head thrown back, unconscious, falling to the floor. You run over to her, feeling for a heartbeat but can't find any. As this pulse hits you, your vision suddenly shifts as your heartbeat stops. You're no longer on the plane of fire, but in the ethereal plane of spirits, and that pulse that everyone else felt was a tidal wave of wailing spirits in mourning crashing into you, spiraling around you, circling. They keep at bay, almost out of respect, as your spiritual form begins to stand up, being filled with the confidence of cold steel, as you face death itself. I need you to make a wisdom check.
Just a check?
Wisdom check.
Amazing. Stop. Oh, fuck. That's 7.
The spirits circle around you. And as you look upon them, they suddenly strike forward, breathing in, pulling something from you. 10 points of necrotic damage. And as they rush into you, your eyes suddenly open once more. You're back on the ship. Your friends above you.
Gonna sit up as fast as I can.
Vesper?
The hell was that?
Can I reach forward and feel for the pulse that was gone a minute ago?
It's back now.
Okay.
Did no one else feel that? Was that just her eyes are just starting?
Well, we all saw something. But are you okay?
I don't know. Klaus, did I realize kind of what I faced there?
Dead spirits. Yeah.
They were surrounded by the dead. No one else collapsed. Everyone's okay.
Yeah, we're all fine. Just worried about you is all.
I think Ellery is kind of like looking her over worriedly, pushing her hair back to see her face.
There were spirits everywhere. It was just like I was surrounded by death.
Is that tear in the sky still there?
It is. That initial pulse was enormous, but it's now slowly leaking colorless energy from it.
Looks like our Sphinx friend was right. Well, you all had something to do here. Vesper, if you've recovered enough, I suggest you all get to it.
Vesper will get up.
Amson will help her up.
Thanks. Yeah, we should figure this out. We should just get going with this, right?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this a little bit. I think the main thing right now is that we need to know exactly where Halos is. So, Vesper, when we're ready, if you can contact her, using a sending spell or something like that, then hopefully, she won't fight too much. Because I know she didn't want us to come here, but we're here anyways, so suck it. But after that, then we need to figure out how we're going to get around. I have something new at my disposal, that hopefully can disguise us a little bit, but we might want to not just rely on something magical. I do have some resources to make us look a little bit different, a little bit of things like that, but yeah. So, sorry, Ellery.
We also have Raj's contact to meet up with.
Right.
Well, I made these, and I'll pull out the 2 protection from energy scrolls, I believe is what we decided on I'm making. I think it's better for me to stay in the orb. It's one less person you have to worry about disguising, and if you get in a pickle, I'm only a few seconds away.
Alright. That's true. You can get out pretty quickly, so we can always contact you.
You hear a clearing of the third turn and see Captain Zadir, the Fire Genasi, with the bushy, dark red beard shaved head, standing a few steps beyond you. Well, we'll be docking soon. If you want to make any changes, you should do so before you're near the fleet. as far as the contact, was to give it to you as we arrived. The contact is one called Coyote. He be found at the ruby draft in the watering hole. It's a bar with two sides. Likely a fleet are the only ones allowed into the ruby draft portion of the bar. Other Kara and Bonded are allowed in the watering hole attached. That is where you'll find Coyote. His appearance is, well, it should be obvious. He's been instructed already about your mission. He will seek payment. That tavern is in the Fisher. It's an old district. It's near the arena. And he kind of points off towards the city that you're approaching the docks of. There's a lower area to the left where you can see the bronze towers and almost skyscrapers that rise up. There's a significant area of the skyline where there are none of those raises, and you can see almost a line across part of the city where there are no high buildings. There's where the cut is. It'll be on the edge of it. Look for the third tower. It'll be under it.
Thank you for your help.
Good luck. You'll need it. He looks to each of you and does that bow where he presents his bonded arm and then goes back to the end of the ship, being pulled by those fiery seahorses.
I think Vesper's been kind of distracted this whole time, like half listening, mostly looking up at where the sky is still leaking. Really don't can feel that.
When the captain walks away, or when he gives us that bow, I practice giving the same bow because I assume we're going to need to use it.
I can't, but that's not necessarily surprising. But none of the rest of you?
I just kind of look at Vesper. Are you sure you're okay?
I don't know. My hands kind of feel cold, which is funny here. You really don't feel that. It's so sad and it's cold. No one else?
No.
She looks at Ball.
I also was going to look at Ball. You two both...
I feel the same. Maybe the sooner we finish what we have set out to do, the warmer we will feel.
You feel the same as everyone else, or as me?
I don't think Ball feels the same stuff, so I'd say I don't feel any different. Concerned, but I don't know what is causing it.
Perhaps our friend will know more. Look, I know you are confused and scared. Trust me, we all are. But I need you to focus. We came this way for you, and you're important to this succeeding. So, tighten your girdle.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yes, you will. All right, you know how to contact me if you need me.
Before you go into the sphere, if you do have to come out, maybe it's a good idea for you to be in disguise too.
I can handle that.
All right.
Actually, Ellery, before I go, I finished this while we were on the ship after what happened, and I will take out a ring with a kind of pink crystal on it that vaguely looks like a brain. When Walker was speaking to me, he mentioned he sealed the Harbinger in a section of his brain, or some part of his mind that it couldn't touch. It enabled him to maintain a part of himself. This is a ring of mind shielding.
So, you think it'll protect me if my Harbinger tries to take me over?
Possibly. I need to do more research to know for sure, but it's a start. And it does have an added effect that if you should die, it can hold your soul temporarily. So either we can at least separate you from it. Maybe. I'm working on some ideas. But I think you should wear this.
Why me in particular and not one of the others?
Honestly, I'm most scared of what you can do should you turn.
You know, that's fair. I'll take that.
Great.
I really hope I don't turn, though.
I'll work on it. All right. Then I will
Thank you, Felix.
Uh-huh. Just sit down with my hand in my pouch for a minute, awkwardly.
And as we wait for Klaus to get back...
We'll just road trip it. It'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
See sights, eat street food.
All right, well, one thing maybe we should discuss, is there any route we go in honest and like, hey, we want to buy her? Or do we assume that that's just not going to work?
How much money do we have?
Not enough for a person, I'm guessing.
Is it worth
I don't know.
calling your mom and telling her, hey, we're here, whether you like it or not? So what's the best way that we get out alive?
I want to do that after we meet with our contact and get the information from him, because then we can kind of figure out a good plan, at least the start of one, and then I can talk to her and get the specifics.
Yeah, because I think at some point you should just tell her, like, she doesn't get a say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
because I'll
the
just
only
tell her,
say
like,
she
I'm not
gets-
here alone. You know, I've got
Yeah.
a crew with me. I'm not just walking in.
All right. Tricks I have if you need an emergency. Arcane Lock, Gaseous Form, Catnap if you want a quick short rest in the orb. Invisibility, Levitate, Rope Trick. I think.
Okay.
So, those are all things I can pop out and try.
And
To be honest, if we're going into this just because I'm looking now at my spells, I don't really want to buy her. I kind of just want to, if we have to go honest with it, Roger mentioned last week something true. It's like, we're not, level 2s. Like, we can just flex.
Okay, well, I'm back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay, so the last thing I heard was Ellery practicing the bow the captain just pulled as the ship is being pulled by those fiery seahorse creatures up to the dock, and some of the crew begins tying the ship to the dock. Just this stone and metal amalgamation. So what else are you guys doing now?
For your information, yeah, we continued a little bit discussing things. I gave Ellery the Ring of Mind Shielding and went into the ball.
And then we were just theory crafting a couple of little things before we actually set out.
What did Amson have in mind for disguises? Because we should do that now.
I was going to cast Seeming, because I have it now, and it lasts for 8 hours. I was thinking that perhaps I could turn everyone into fire genasi, and Ball into a big, scary fire giant. Or something like that. Make us
Isn't
look
he
kind
already?
of... Well, to make him look more like a fire giant, not like a half-giant thing.
All right, and do you want me to cast tongues on you, Amson?
Oh, that would be lovely. Just in
'Cause
case
that would
I
be
need
helpful.
to...
It's
Yeah.
only for an hour, so maybe we should wait and I'll get you when we're at the dock.
Hold on that one.
Okay. I can do that about 6 times a day if I use higher spell slots. So, but that is the same level as sending, so it'd be between tongues and sending, kind of how we want to balance things.
So Amston makes you all look like fire genasi, with Ball making him look more like a fire giant, though still 10 foot. Does he do anything to Vesper, make her look more fire genasi?
Yeah, I imagine that especially a smoke genasi would be a hot commodity here in the fire plane. So I'm going to make her look as much normal for this play. I know. Kind of intentional. As normal for this, dimension of reality as I can.
Okay. Easily enough, you guys all look like Fire Genasi now, as the ship is being docked. And you guys enter into the city of Smo.
Oh, quick question for Felix. What was the name again of the scroll?
Protection from energy. And there's 2 of them.
So I guess one for Amson, one for Ellery, probably.
Yeah, I can cast it, I believe.
I mean, I wouldn't mind taking both.
It's actually also a cleric spell, so if Vesper wants it instead of me.
I don't currently have it prepared.
No, it's a scroll.
But you are fire resistant.
Scroll. I am fire resistant,
yeah.
Naturally, so.
Okay. Well, I still got like a day and a half of my fire resistance from the giant thing, so.
Okay, well, why don't we have Ellery hang on to both, just in case?
Okay, sure. Ellery has both.
Alright.
Okay, so you guys are on the docks. What do you guys do? See people unloading stuff, moving around.
And I believe we had 3 of those bracers, so we should each be wearing one.
Can Ball wear one through seeming? Can decide his clothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good.
Yeah, I can make
everyone have one.
Yeah, I can make it look like he has one. Yeah.
Cool. Then
So you're standing on the docks.
Tongues on Amson as we walk down the plank.
What do you guys do after you walk on the plank?
I imagine we're going straight to the contact, right? All right, so we're gonna follow his directions and go see that contact underneath that tower.
So we better be careful that we go in through the right side. Don't want to piss anybody off unnecessarily.
I'm sure the Ifrit are fairly noticeable. We should be able to avoid their half the establishment.
Yep. And
I'm just going to assume that their half is going to be the nicer side.
Probably.
And while we're walking through the city, try not to look like tourists. That means don't, go looking around in all directions. Wow, this is so wonderful. No, try not to do that.
Just to clarify, we're keeping Ball as a fire giant, is that right? We're just making him look more like the area.
Yeah. Maybe. Just, the idea with seeming was just to make everybody look normal for the place. Not out of place kind of thing. Fire giants I imagine are fairly common around here, so if you look like one, we'll be fine, hopefully.
And as you guys walk off the stone dock and towards the city itself, you can look and visualize the city. Behind you is the burning oil sea, desert to either side. And in front of you, these large brass walls with spiraling towers, Moorish arches and architecture. You see some bridges that connect some of these towers, and some that run over that fissure, the Thrall's fissure that Captain Zudir pointed out. You see numerous genasi moving crates and stuff from the docks. You see a few Afridi, and you see what looks like armored Afrid riding these strange creatures like elephants, but with ram horns instead of their ears and large black hooves as well, patrolling the city. As you begin to head, go ahead.
As we're starting to move through, I want to kind of keep an eye out and see if I notice the genasi in the area, what their kind of behavior or demeanor is towards any of the Afridi who pass. In general, especially if there's any, do they not look at them, or do they do any special gesture?
In general, it looks like they more or less avoid them. Especially the patrolling Afridi that look like maybe the guards of this city. They generally just straight up avoid them. You see a few rare instances as you begin to move in of an Efreet either riding some sort of creature, not quite a horse, but some sort of creature like a rhinoceros mixed with a horse being followed by some genasi with bracers on. But other than that, you don't see much direct interaction. You see a lot of the genasi here. Some are bonded and have those bracelets. Others have no bracelet at all. You see others that are in more heavily chained around with shackles around the neck, wrist, and feet as you move in. So you guys have a general idea of where you're going because you know you're heading to somewhere near the fissure. Whoever's leading this, why don't you give me some sort of maybe a survival roll to kind of navigate the city?
Fuck, is that me?
Whoever's leading.
Sure. You said perception?
Survival.
Survival. Oh, yes, that's definitely me then. 15.
Okay. You begin to head towards this fissure, which from where you are, all you can really see is an absence of towers. There's kind of a line where the skyline breaks up. And you begin to head in that direction, heading up the hill as the altitude inclines away from the sea. As you start to get closer, you reach a wall where you can see over the edge of it this large gash in the ground. It's deep. It's maybe 200, 300 feet deep in places. This long line that starts shallow and then ends up very deep, almost completely covered in one end. This gash, and you can see down below it looks like maybe markets, numerous houses, pubs, places of business built along the sides of this sloping gash. And you can hear a loud roar of people rising and falling. You could hear loud drums as you're chanting, spectators chanting something ahead. Captain Zadir told you it was the third tower. So you approach, there are 3 towers that kind of line this fissure where you can begin to see an arena below. You see what looks like several fields. One of them in the center is currently occupied. You can see, it looks like genasi wearing these armored shoulder pads and like armored skirts almost. The armor looks similar to Dragon Ball Z, like Vegeta armor almost. I don't know how else to describe it. And you see them with bats that are pulsing with energy and them kind of hitting back and forth, practicing warming up, hitting these balls back and forth between them, practicing their swings. You see 2 goals on the end. As you see some sort of sport is beginning to take off. You are now near that 3rd tower. You can see genasi all around you. Or actually, as you're heading towards that tower, why don't you all give me like I'll say a performance check, just to like be chill.
Can a deception check work for this?
I'll say you can roll deception, yeah.
It's a natural 13, so 12.
I need to use luck because I rolled a nat 1.
That's a 20 for that.
Okay, that's a 30.
That's a 17 for Ellery.
Okay, so you guys are maintaining this sort of attitude where you act like you kind of know what's going on. The crowds here are pretty thick anyway, so no one's really paying attention to you. Some are kind of brushing up against you, moving through, but none of them seem to notice that the image doesn't directly line up. There's too many people brushing against each other anyway. As you get close to the 3rd tower, why don't 2 of y'all give me leading this perception checks to try to look for the tavern? You know it's around here somewhere.
I'll do one.
I'll do the other since I think we've established I was leading. Direction. 16.
11.
Okay. So, Ellery, you see this young fire genasi girl. She's maybe 13, and she's running around with a basket of these, what looks like oranges, but they're almost pulsing. like flexing, as if it's a muscle. And she's selling them left and right, collecting coins. You get distracted by that as Vesper, you see a stairwell that leads down. And you don't see anything that says the name, but you do see a sign that has a painted ruby upon it down the stairwell.
That looks like our place.
Huh. Does it look like there's a separate entrance for anybody who's not an Ifrit?
Make a perception check.
That's a better roll. That one is 21.
Okay. So once Vesper kind of points this out, you can see the stairwell that she notices. It actually goes down towards the interior of the fissure, where there is a Ifrit kind of leaning up against the wall that looks like the bouncer. Looking around Ellery with a 21, you actually look behind you and see a similar symbol of a ruby, and you see a genasi leaning against the wall, next to a small doorway. There's a curtain on it, but no actual door.
I tap Vesper's shoulder and point to that doorway. I think that's our entrance.
Perfect. I'll link arms with Amson and head up to the door because he has tons and can help.
And I will follow behind those two.
So as you guys approach, you see the genasi kind of recognize you're heading in his direction. He kind of lifts his chin up. Are you looking for an entrance?
Indeed we are. Yes, we are here to see Coyote.
Who you're meeting is none of my business. 5 gems, and you're in.
I'll turn to Ellery and repeat it in common.
How much is that?
It's a really good question.
We should have asked about currency.
Didn't we do that last game?
I thought we did. I thought we got all the information we needed.
I think we got an exchange rate, because we negotiated for the boat. So you guys should know how much, roughly.
That's a good point. So you know it's 50 gold. That's what he's asking for.
10 a head, that better be a fucking nice-ass tavern.
Well.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so I will pass over that much in gold and hope that doesn't stand out too much.
Okay, so he takes it, kind of looks at it strangely for a moment, but begins counting it up anyway. This gold is probably marked Embershore or marked with some other embossment. He looks at it, counts it, and just kind of shrugs and puts it into a pouch at his side. All right, down the stairs and follow the hallway. Stay in the water and hole side of things.
Understood. Oh, wait, Ellery doesn't understand any of that, so never mind.
I will say understood.
Okay. You guys go down the stairwell, turn and enter the doorway, go down the stairwell, and there is a hall that leads you back towards the fissure in the other direction, where it eventually opens up into a sort of underground courtyard. There's a bar to your right. It's like they're serving drinks. And there are windows and what looks like a door that enters into a second half. The side you're entering in, you see mostly genasi. Most of them are bonded, so they have the bracers. There's a few that don't, that are in more headful. They don't have any sort of bonding at all. And then you can see through these windows a second half of the bar. Inside there, you see mostly Ifrit. They're sitting at the bars and tables. All the furniture is like stone. The stone inside the actual ruby draft itself is also plated in bronze. You see a larger bar. It looks like better quality alcohol. Brass doors on the front that are opened on the other side, with your side having just simple stone tables and chairs.
Do we see anybody that looks like might be some sort of shady individual, or did we get a description of our contact, of Coyote?
We were told it would be obvious. Is there an obvious Coyote?
Make a perception check. As you guys are entering in, they notice the group of you going in, and especially Ball. The ceiling's pretty low for you, Ball. It's probably a few inches above your head.
It's a 7.
19.
12.
Okay. Vesper, you see at the window, this sort of the back of the ruby draft, but the most forward part of the watering hole where you're in, you see an individual leaning back against the window with a short glass of some brown liquid in their hand and a cigarette in their mouth. You see, it's hard to see because of all the smoke that is around this figure. It looks like there's 2 other Afreet at the table, and they seem to be discussing something. Which one Coyote is obvious. It's this very lanky figure with the head of a coyote, these stark yellow eyes, wearing this tight white button down, a bolo tie, with a black cowboy hat on top. He's got to lean back, swirling the whiskey and speaking through the smoke rolling off the cigarette to these other Afreet.
Well, I believe he's occupied, so maybe we should find a table somewhere.
Great. Should we find one near him? On our side, try and catch his eye through the window?
Does it look like there's a quiet table near that one?
There is a table on the other side of the window where he's seated. There are 2 Genasi currently sitting at that table.
I'll just look for a decently quiet table in the meantime then.
You find one. It looks like these bars are getting pretty crowded for the game. But you do find one, but it's towards the back, furthest away from the ruby draft. You see one of the Genasi bartenders in this back part slap this, what looks like a mirror that's hanging on the wall, and you see it kind of fuzz before coming online, and you see an image of the field coming through the mirror. You see a figure flying above the crowd, emceeing basically the sporting event as the teams begin to kind of huddle up and face each other and perform a sort of haka ritual of intimidation. What do you guys do?
Well, we should probably order something, but maybe we should have exchanged some of our currency.
Bit late now. Do we have coins marked with 9 in it, or are they pretty much all Limbershore?
That's a really good
question. You know where we got all of our money?
I imagine most of it is Embershore.
Yeah.
Probably some Nymunet. And then you also got a ton of money that was marked with the imagery of Vaidmer.
Let's use that.
Yeah.
There's also some that's Drummond Folk as well, that nation.
Right. That stuff. Whatever's not Embershore, because I don't want them tracing us.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys order some drinks?
Yeah.
They have some spiced wine, some whiskey stuff, some tequila based spicy drinks as well, margaritas.
Spiced wine.
Okay.
Whiskey.
In it. Whiskey, yeah. So one for each. I believe there's 4 of you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 20 gold. Translated.
It's a nice sports bar.
So you have your drink sitting around the table. You're just waiting?
Yeah, do we look like we could be an eye shot of Coyote, like eyeline if he turns?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty open courtyard. There's a crowd in here, but you can see him.
About how far from us is he?
35 feet, maybe.
Okay.
I can
get his attention.
I could send him a message if he understands common.
That's the question.
I can also send him a message.
And you can speak his language.
Apparently.
He can understand you. That's really all it does. So can everyone else in here, though, so keep that in mind. But yes, go ahead.
Does it look like Coyote and his clients are, assuming they're clients, deep in conversation? Do they look like they're wrapping up? Or what?
It's hard to tell. Coyote is kind of leaned back in a sort of casual stance. The other Ifrit are sort of leaned in more intensely. It's hard to tell what they're talking about. Coyote seems very calm.
All right. I guess I'll wait a little bit, and if nothing changes in the next couple of minutes or so, then I'll send a message to him. The spell has a range of 120 feet, so that's fine. And I guess Amson will say, the ones that you have been notified about earlier have arrived.
Coyote blows smoke out of his nostrils, but otherwise doesn't tilt his head or give any indication. His right ear that's towards you, does turn in your direction. I'm just finishing up here. Come see me when you're ready.
And then Amson will say, he's ready whenever we are.
And his half of the bar, we're allowed to go over there, are we? Can I see from here the Genasi sitting at the table next to his window? Are they bonded?
One is, two aren't. There's been a third that's now sat down.
You could always just tell them to move. All four of us are bonded, and Ball's very intimidating. So's Ellery when she wants to be.
Ellery just kind of grins.
Shall we go kick them out of our spot?
I don't know.
Vesper's gonna get up and grab her cup and the bottle. Come.
Ellery will follow. And look up at Ball. Hey, try to look big and intimidating.
Ball grunts at you.
You approach the table and you see the two that aren't bonded. You see a male and a female. The male's maybe in his mid-30s, the female's in her early 20s, and then the bonded looks like he's in his late 30s, maybe early 40s. The bonded is better dressed than the others, but nothing extravagant.
You're in our seat.
That is quite interesting. The bonded speaks up, because it appears that we are sitting here.
It is interesting, isn't it? I'm going to kind of nudge Ellery. I'm going to cast tongues on Ellery because I'm like, I need help.
And sorry, what language is it that they speak?
Ignan or Primordial.
Can I say...
Okay.
Can I say, I assure you, friend, it is in your best interest that you find another seat. In fact, there's an empty one just over there. As I point to the table that we were just previously at.
He kind of eyes his... doesn't turn his face, but shift his eyebrows to look over in that direction before meeting your gaze. Are you more persuading or intimidating?
I'm trying to be more persuading. As in, like, listen, this isn't that big of a deal. There's one just over there.
Okay. Make a roll.
Okay, natural 11 for 23.
But I suppose there's little harm in moving. Perhaps you could purchase me a drink for my inconvenience.
What would you like?
Spiced haka.
In before it's 500 gold.
I'll be at the table waiting for it.
Of course.
As he stands and the other two follow him over to the table you guys were at.
Are there people walking and serving drinks or just at the bar?
Just in the bar. There's some serving inside the Ruby Draft, but not in the watering hole.
Okay.
I'll get it.
Thanks, Ellery.
And I will go and order a... Well, he only said a drink for him, so I'll get a drink for him.
You're not going to be nice to these poor slave people?
Oh...
It's fine.
Actually, no, you're right. I think
I'm
Ellery...
not there.
No, that's true, but I think Ellery would probably Yeah, I'll get them around.
So it's 15 gold.
And I'll take it over and set those drinks down. Much appreciated.
Anything to help, babe? Stranger need. And he kind of does a sitting bow. He kind of just presents his bonded arm.
And I will imitate this bow that I've now seen several times.
Give me a performance check.
Okay.
I'll say because you've seen it and you actually verbalized that you practiced, I will give you advantage on it.
Thank you. It's a 16.
Okay. You do the bow, look back up at him, and he nods and then takes a sip. And they seem content.
Okay, then I will head back to the other.
Rejoining the Scales, who have sat down at this kind of L-shaped booth with a table beside the window. The window is this glass, this slightly, not stained, but what's the word? Obscured. It's like bathroom glass. It's like bathroom glass. I don't know what the word's called.
Frosted.
Frosted or clouded. So it's kind of hard to see through. But there is one pane of the 4 that is broken. As you see Coyote surrounded by smoke speaking to these Afreed.
Can we eavesdrop a little bit?
You can make a perception check.
Not amazing. That's only a 6.
You don't hear anything. Not a word. Their mouths are moving, but no sound whatsoever.
I'll just kind of cough a little bit and wave some of the smoke away.
As this sweet, pungent scent. Eventually, a few minutes go by, and eventually the 2 Afreed that he was speaking to walk off, leave the bar entirely, from as far as you can tell. As Coyote kind of leans back with his drink and cigarette against the wall next to the window, just on the other side of you. He exhales as the smoke begins to drift out of the window a bit and surround 1 or 2 of you that are right next to the window. So, your introduction was vague. What is it that I can help you with?
We're looking for someone.
I've heard a few people looking for some people. Who exactly are you looking for? And I'm my only clients.
Claus, it was Raj who set us up with him, right?
Yeah.
We're the ones Raj sent?
Yeah, Genasi, right?
Right.
Well, luckily, those are few and far between and small. Have a couple leads on such short notice. Why are you looking for them?
It's a personal matter.
I can't remember. Did you guys give Raj her name?
Yes.
I thought you did. Okay. Well, I have a couple ideas. Worst case scenario, and she's still living. She's a Carter and the Fisher. The slave exchange down there. Not a good place to be if you're an Air Genasi. They are often sought after for their talents. Second place she'd be a little better off is with these athletes. You have Gladius down there. One of the best. Paid well and likes women. She might fit his type. Third option, and from what I can tell about her age and appearance that I was given, the most likely is in one of the houses. No, I don't work for free, so if you're willing to pay, I can tell you where I believe she might be. Or if you're willing to pay a bit more, give me a little bit of time, I can get her myself.
How much are you asking for?
I'll tell you where she is.
let's say that first, and then we'll consider the other option as well.
I believe I saw you paying gold. 1,000.
Do we have that? In common to Ellery very quietly. And again, he can understand you, so either just nod or shake your head.
I am going to nod.
Okay.
Sorry?
And to clarify some things, I presume Vesper, but who else is sitting next to the window? So there's kind of two spots where the smoke is kind of rolling out. Is it Amson? Is it Ellery? Is it Ball?
Just roll a D2. Heads or tails?
I know, Amson and I could be sitting real close. You don't know. Maybe we all fit.
Amson is sitting on Vesper's lap.
Yeah. There you go.
So the smoke is rolling out, and we'll say all of y'all to just include you can hear him, and he is speaking comment to you.
So I will nod, but I will also say to him, if you would accept it, we also have some very fine alcohol that we could trade.
How much for trade? I'll accept. If it's worthy, 500 of it in alcohol. Well,
the rest in platinum. Maybe. No, maybe not. Yes. I can't do math. We know this about me.
While you're doing math to clarify about the smoke, as it rolled out, those of you who are sitting furthest away from the window, the first couple words you couldn't hear. Obviously, the smoke blocked that, but as it kind of rolled out and enveloped you as well, you then could hear the conversation, just not from outside of the smoke.
So if we give him the alcohol with the pearls, maybe?
Yeah.
And then 50 platinum would make up the rest, right?
Well,
How much was the total cost?
1,000.
He said 1,000.
the Pearl Noir is worth 1.5 thousand by itself, but the Pearl is worth 500. So that's probably the best thing to offer, because no matter what, he gets $500.
Mm-hmm. Or, so I'm going to suggest this. Alternatively, we do have a pearl worth 500 and could do that and the rest in platinum.
A physical pearl.
Yes.
All right, let me take a look at it.
So I will have to fish that out of one of the bottles.
Did he open the bottle?
Can you just hand him the bottle? Can you see it through the bottle?
All right. You gonna get it out?
Yep, so I will do so.
I'll push my glass towards her. Might as well.
Okay. So you open a very fine bottle of alcohol. The smell is rich as it's being poured out, aerating, and eventually fish the pearl out. So the pearl, and then you're giving, 50 platinum as well?
Yes.
And I'll fork over the 50.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I can't be sure which place she's in, but if I were to guess, if I were to find her, I'd start at the house, Profane House in Mordon. It's in the Alcazar district, which is where you'll find the nobility, the Embarada Palace. A lot of Afreet. You'll want to step lightly there. A lot more guards. The house is on a hill. There's a garden surrounding a tall golden tower. You want to be careful of the bodyguard. It's dangerous, horned. Aaron, yes, from hell. The master of the house is heavenly in nature. She has a taste for the lascivious. Drink, food, warm company. If she's there, she'll likely be a servant of some sort. As for getting her out, the master of that profane house seeks certain company, rebellious in nature, and is not easily swayed by coin. Trying to buy her off her will be unlikely. Your best bet is to take her. You could surprise me. The tower, the master's room at the top, looks open, but is defended. Ingress up there will be difficult. There's arcane protections. Front door is guarded by, a door, as well as the bodyguard. Diva, her weakness, as far as I can tell, is company. She is known for her lavish parties. If she's not there, then she's likely with Gladius, the captain of the team down there. If that's the case, come back here and I'll give you information on him. I'm not sure your skill set. Do you have any questions for me?
This house, it's like a manor, right? It's like a private residence.
That will be correct, yes.
Okay.
Do you know if she receives deliveries?
I'm sure she does.
Did he say what her name was?
Her name is Diva. Of Moradon is the name of the house. Now your tricks may work on most folk, but it's not going to work on her either. It'll get you past most of the Ifrit. It is beside the Sublime, but it won't get you past Diva.
Is there any connection between the Mordon house and the family known as Fidelis?
Not off the top of my head, but I could do some digging.
That's
for a
fine.
price.
Don't worry about it.
Do you know if your target has any markings?
I could ask her.
There are few Genasi in this city. The one in the Sublime House has a very distinct marking. You seem unaware.
What marking is it?
She has a symbol on her forehead. It means she tried to escape her bondage. Diva, I don't fully understand her ways, but she often purchases these escapees. For why, I do not know.
That's probably her.
Oh, and one more thing. Not only will your tricks not work on her, lying's not going to work either. It may get you in the door, past a good guard, but it won't get you past her. She'll see right through it. I can draw where this place is, how to get to it. Other than that, what you do with the information is your decision. Now, I do have other clients to attend to today. You have any other questions or requests?
Has anyone been relaying this information to Felix as we talk?
Probably so he could relay it to Ball.
I haven't said anything really this whole time, so I guess I'll do that.
Again, he was speaking in common so Ball can understand.
So I'm going to think at Felix. Did you catch all that? Any suggestions for information we should seek?
Not really. I mean, doesn't exactly seem like we have many options. We do whatever it takes to get inside, and then we're either avoiding the master and somehow finding the target, or we have to, I don't know, fight our way through.
You mentioned magical protections. Do you know the exact nature of those?
a field that prevents entry. The master's room, quarters, are at the top of the tower, and it appears to be open. However, that is not the case. Entering in from the top may prove difficult unless you have some way to surpass that arcane protection.
I know she could probably see through our illusions, but does magic work within the house?
As far as I'm aware, I don't know that for sure, but I haven't heard anything contrary to it.
And she's a celestial or fiend?
The bodyguard's a fiend. The master of the house is celestial.
Shit.
Coyote stands up and kind of pulls his shirt down with a cigarette hanging out his mouth, finishes the whiskey, and puts it about the glass on the table. All right. Any last words?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. And he turns and leaves out the front door away from you as the trail of smoke kind of follows him from his cigarette, and the billowing smoke around you slowly disperses. And as that occurs, why don't we go ahead and take a break, and we'll come back and we'll jump in and see what Felix is up to.
Next time on Back to the Story.
Same thing on the other side, more books, different memories.
I look through them. Are they mine?
These are.
It says that the master seems to see all, though.
But she is there.
Yes.
Where inside is she, and how is she bound?
What matters is who's going to have the best resources when we find her, or if we get caught.
It's gotta be Amson.
For part 2 of this episode of Back to the Story, you can find it on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you prefer to get your podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel called Back to the Story, an actual play podcast. If you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/backtothestory.